Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome, I'm just adjusting the camera here. Welcome to Chat with the Author Live. I am back for another episode, another live Q&A, and this will be the last one in 2025. So whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on replay, I want to welcome you here to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today and on every video. If you are new, I want to welcome you to my channel. So on this live stream specifically, which I will be doing every other Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. The next one will be after the holidays on January 6th of 2026, 1/6/2026 at 6 p.m. Wow, that's a lot of sixes. But I will be doing it then every other week, except for the weeks that I happen to be on vacation in 2026. So the format is as follows. If you have a question to ask about one of my 12 published books or a question that pertains to any topic that I address on this channel that pertains to you and your personal life and you in this situation, whether it is twin flames, the chakras, yoga philosophy, meditation, a spiritual awakening, spiritually based relationships, self-love, any of the above or all of the above, as well as Ayurvedic lifestyle, mind, body, spirit, health, I am happy, more than happy to answer your questions on the live stream. And if you are watching this on replay, then by all means, please do post your question for the next live stream in the chat, the comments below. That would be marvelous. And if you are joining me, then please do say hello in the chat box. Engage. That's why I'm here live. I really missed doing those lives. I used to do tarot readings live. Now it's just Chat with the Author Live, a Q&A to have deeper discussions with you guys on the topics. So I'm wearing a Mickey Christmas shirt. This is literally the only, no, I have an ugly Christmas sweater. I could have worn that for the live stream. But welcome if you're just joining me here today. Please do put something in the chat. Say where you are viewing this from. If you have any questions, again, pertaining to any of the topics that I address on this channel or in my books. And so last live stream before the new year, I'm wearing my Christmas Mickey shirt. And also I have my favorite snack for the holidays that I just picked up today at Trader Joe's. It is peppermint flavored pretzels or pretzel thins. I don't know. Anything with peppermint, like I like peppermint cupcakes and peppermint mochas. Amazing for me. I love the peppermint season. So I picked these up today. This is actually one of my favorite treats for the holidays. Love that. And I have to limit myself because these things are kind of addicting. So have to limit myself. I cannot indulge too much in the sweets of the holidays. Otherwise, I will deeply regret it after. So if you're here, please do say hello. If you're coming and going, say hello anyway. Say where you're from. If you have any questions for me, post them in the chat below. Now, if you're watching this live or on replay, I would like to invite you to participate in my upcoming book, Love Me Unconditionally, A Spiritual Guide to Self-Love. I have a questionnaire for you if you want to answer it and maybe get a quote inside my book. So I have 6 questions for you. If you're interested in participating, please email me at michellefondinauthor@gmail.com, michellefondinauthor@gmail.com, and I will send you the questionnaire. And there is a release form. But if you're interested in the topic of self-love, what it means to you, what it maybe meant to you, maybe you have no idea what self-love is or you never really thought about it before. It's okay. I want your opinion on that. And welcome. Hello to the Great Outdoors Fairy from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome. Thanks. If you have any questions for me on any of the topics I address on my channel, please by all means put that in the chat box. And thank you for saying hello. I really appreciate it. So yeah, if you want to participate in my upcoming book, the questionnaires are due by February 1st of 2026. So it's like simple questions, but if that is a topic you're passionate about, if you're on a spiritual awakening journey and you've been learning more about self-love, then I'm really interested in getting your point of view, because I feel like it's not just my point of view on self-love and the self-love journey. People from different cultures, different states, different countries have different views on these types of topics of self-love. Not only that, but like different generations as well. When I was younger, I never in a million years heard the topic self-love. There was only selfish. There was not self-love. It was like, don't think of yourself. That's selfish, right? And maybe some of you grew up like that as well, that self-love was really never a topic to be discussed, right? All right, so we are going to address some questions here. Some of these questions were brought to me by viewers, by clients, and I will start us off with a Q&A question and the answer. And if you have a question, and I do see there was one just posted in the chat, so perhaps I'll start with that one. But if you have any questions along the way, please do post them in the chat box. So the question is twin flame a real thing? Like soul split or same reincarnation, or is it just a type of people that trigger our wounds? That is a really, really good question. So of course I'm not God, right? I don't know everything about everything. I'm not living on the other side at this time, right? But I do get channeled messages from my angels, and I have since I've been on the twin flame journey since 2018. And I really started getting those messages in 2019. And I've coached close to 1,000 twin flames. And so the answer to that is yes, twin flames are real. And they have been written about. So this is another thing a lot of people don't know about, is that poets from centuries ago, like before the internet, before TV, before radio, before telephone, poets from thousands of years ago wrote about twin flames, about twin souls, if you will. So since poets and writers from centuries ago, or a couple thousand years ago, wrote about the concept of twin flames, that's proof to me that the concept of twin flames is real, because how would people from 2,000 years ago know this, right? And last time for the last live stream, I actually told a story that I was rereading. I had to read Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I had to read Wuthering Heights in high school, like most people. Maybe now it's changed, but I read Wuthering Heights in high school, and I was at a used bookstore, picked up a copy, decided to read it last year. What was fascinating to me is that the Heathcliff and Kathy, like the original Heathcliff and Kathy, are twin flames. Like the twin flame language is all the way throughout that book. And Emily Bronte wrote that in the mid to late 19th century. I don't know the exact dates now, but Emily Bronte lived from, I think it was like 1848 to 1890, somewhere around there. And so no, I don't think she lived that long. I'm thinking she may have died under 30, age 30, but she wrote about twin flames. And obviously that was before anybody could really talk about it and hear about it in a quick manner like we have today. So yes, twin souls are real. My understanding of, is it a split soul? Yes. And what's also interesting is that in listening to the teachings of Abraham by Esther and Jerry Hicks, or channeling from Esther and Jerry Hicks, is that, sorry, I need to take a little sip of tea here. I got too excited. Is that we come to earth with like a soul family, but like individual souls are not as individual as we think they are. So you may think that you have a very individual soul, but that it's actually not that individuated, if you will. So yes, twin flames are real. Yes, twin souls are real. Do twin flames reincarnate together, or do they incarnate together? Yes, absolutely. I know this as well because I have seen past lives with my twin flame and I. A lot of other people have seen past lives with their twin flames in various forms, of course. Like sometimes your brother and sister, sometimes your mother and daughter, or mother and father, or whatever, right? So it's just, it depends on the relationship that we tend to go through. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely real. And then the last part of your question was, is it to trigger wounds? Excuse me. And the real answer is that's typically what happens anyway. And the reason it happens anyway, and this happens with soulmates too, by the way, anyone in your soul family might trigger you to get you back on your soul path if you've diverged from the path that you agreed to do before you came here, right? Like each of us have come here with a certain intention in mind, right? And it's not fixed in stone, but there is a set of intentionalities of things that you would like to experience while you're here. So if you diverge from that too far, people from your soul family will come in to help correct you on your path, to try to get you back on your path. And a lot of that comes as triggering, right? And I could talk about triggering and wounds so much because so much has been learned throughout these years, but it really is all about burning away old belief systems, burning away the false mask of the self, meaning like not recognizing your higher spiritual self. And that's really why twin flames and soulmates come to us and we come to them. And I guess to finish off the answer to your question is, does that mean that that's the only reason? No, I don't believe that's the only reason. Why? Because I have seen twin flames come together as a couple, like actually living together, getting married, having kids, and so on and so on and so on. So not the only reason, but one of the reasons. I hope I answered your question. All right, so if you're joining me now, I want to welcome you here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to ask a question, just put it in the chat below and I will answer your question. And I am going to actually continue that. I totally did not plan on it, answering a twin flame question, then answering a twin flame question, but sorry about that. Wow. Can twin flames reunite if one person is still wounded or emotionally unavailable? Okay, so the answer to this question is, can twin flames reunite if one person is still wounded or emotionally unavailable? I have seen it happen. So I have seen twin flames come together when one is unavailable or like emotionally unavailable or still in their wounding. I have seen it, but it's very tumultuous. It's not a smooth picture. And sometimes twin flames will come together, trigger each other again, and then separate again. And that happens more often than not, meaning like that is typical of what happens. But I have actually coached twin flames together who are living together. So they're both on the call. So I've actually coached twin flames who are together, living together. And if one is still in their wounding, in their pain, in their suffering, in their triggering, it's typically, like I said, it's very, very tumultuous. And the reason is because it's so intense, but it's intense for the good and it's intense for the pain. It's intense in the bad way too. Does that mean that it shouldn't happen? No, I don't think there's any shoulds or shouldn'ts on this journey. I feel like there is what is unique to your situation and what your soul has asked for, right? What your soul has actually asked for that healing. Okay, so the Great Outdoors Fairy said, most soulmates I have just fall away from my life, even if they triggered me, but this twin flame just won't go away from my head. Yeah, that's pretty typical. The twin flame tends to stick around more, right? They tend to really persist until you have reached the point of unconditional love for yourself. Now, if you haven't yet read my books, Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love, and Twin Flame Union, it really does expand upon this and give you the pathway to be able to work through some of your own healing stuff, stuff you need to heal in order to feel like you're not so conflicted with this twin flame connection, especially if you're in separation from them and you can't let them go, right? Because the not letting them go piece, or them not letting you go piece, is usually when the wounding is the greatest, meaning there's just a lot of stuff still needing to be worked through. And it doesn't mean, like, what you want in the end is like, I want to choose you, not I have to choose you kind of thing. Okay, I hope that was helpful. All right, so if you have any questions, put them down in the chat. And I'm going to go to the next question I have here. Is it normal to feel emotional releases during a chakra meditation? Mine have been intense. You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Great Outdoors Fairy. Okay, so yes, it is normal to feel emotional releases during a chakra meditation. Here's why. So if you've ever studied the chakras in the chakra system, there are 7 main chakras that align the spine from the base of the spine all the way up through the crown of the head. And chakra work, if you've ever done any chakra work, whether it's chakra alignment, chakra healing, or meditations, or chakra yoga, for example, it's based on Kundalini yoga. That's really what it's the Tantra philosophy, but the yoga attached to that would be Kundalini yoga, which includes a lot of yogic breathing. A lot of times it's rapid breath work. Chakra meditations activate each of the chakras, the energy centers in the body that it corresponds to. So for example, if you are activating the solar plexus chakra with a chakra meditation, you are activating that central part of your torso, right, around your belly button. And so that's going to activate it. And so the idea of a chakra meditation is to activate the Kundalini energy that lies dormant at the base of your spine. And it's to awaken and enliven that Kundalini energy. So oftentimes when we are doing a chakra healing meditation, you're typically moving through the chakras. So starting at the base and moving through to the crown of the head. And in fact, if you're interested in getting a sample, on my website under freebies, there's a tab called freebies on my website, michellefondinauthor.com. There's a tab called freebies. You can download a 30-minute chakra healing meditation that is guided by me, and it is taken from my book, Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy. And as you meditate with that, as you move through the chakras, you're going to activate the Kundalini energy. Now, this isn't like a spontaneous Kundalini awakening that some people speak about, because that's pretty intense. But you are activating the Kundalini energy. So a lot of times what will happen is people will start to get movement, usually like an undulating movement, a circulating movement, circular movement, if you will, when you're doing a chakra meditation. So a lot of people will get a lot of movement in the torso, in the body, when they're doing chakra healing meditation. Now, as the energy is moving through the chakras when you're meditating, sometimes if there are blockages in an area of your body, an energetic blockage, then you might feel pain, or you might feel throbbing, or you might feel buzzing. So I will give you an example of that. When I started meditating with a mantra, so I learned my mantra meditation practice with Dr. Deepak Chopra at a meditation retreat in 2007. I had never meditated before that wasn't a guided meditation. So that was my first time meditating by myself. By myself with a mantra. And during one of the meditations where we're sitting meditating with Dr. Chopra, I was having this buzzing, uncomfortable, kind of throbbing pain right here on my third eye. And it felt kind of weird, like almost like a tingling sensation. And so I asked Dr. Chopra, like, why am I experiencing that in particular? And he said, oh, that's just blocked energy. So that's just a blocked chakra trying to become unblocked. Now, for me, I was like, I don't have any blockages anywhere. But, you know, because I was not knowing really what that was. But that's really what it is. So if you do chakra healing meditations, if you do like working with that Kundalini energy in the chakra healing, you might experience that type of thing. Hello, if you're joining me now, I want to welcome you here. Please put something in the chat box if you're joining me today for this Chat with the Author Q&A. This is the last one of the year of 2025 until 2026, January. And so I will be answering your questions on any topic I discuss on this channel. And you can ask questions that pertain to any of my published books as well. So welcome if you're here. Join me for this little chat before the holidays. And even if you just want to talk about the holidays and how stressed you are, that's fine too. I'm here for you. We can talk about it. All right, so I'm going to go to the next question. I'm going to take a sip of my, I've got my Grogu tumbler here with my Tocino tea. I ran out of coffee. Usually my afternoon drink is my coffee, but I already drank it. So I'm back to tea, herbal tea with no caffeine. All right, this is interesting because this comes up, this next question comes up a lot. And in fact, my new book, my upcoming book for May 2026 called Love Me Unconditionally, A Spiritual Guide to Self-Love, I'm doing an entire chapter on this. So this question is it normal to feel lonely or disconnected during a spiritual awakening? I'm going to say that question again. Is it normal to feel lonely or disconnected during a spiritual awakening? Here is my answer. Yes, 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 and yes. Yes, that is completely normal. And in fact, I would say if it didn't happen, that would not be normal. Here's why. When you awaken to a different reality than what you have been living, people will fall away from your life, or you will have a strong impulse to self-isolate. Okay? It's usually a little bit of both, right? So either people will fall away from your life because you are no longer an energetic match to them with your new perceptual reality, right? Your perception of reality has shifted. And so since you have expanded your awareness, you've expanded your vision of things, of life, of reality. So people will naturally kind of just disappear from your life. That happens. And also you will have the impulse to self-isolate, to not really want to be around people because it's going to feel too invasive to your newfound awakened state. And this is temporary. You need to know this. This is absolutely positively temporary. You are not going to be alone forever. You are not going to want to self-isolate forever. It is absolutely temporary. And it's usually so you can recalibrate your energy in this new state. So I will give you one example early on my twin flame journey when I was awakening again. So most of you who have been with me on my channel for at least the past 6 years since I started doing twin flame content, I've had my YouTube channel much longer than that. I was doing everything related to my books prior to that. But it was around early 2019, probably starting in January of 2019. I was alone in California. I was completely alone. I had moved out here. I met my twin flame here. I went to work, but my son would come in to visit probably every 4 to 6 weeks. So I had a lot of alone time, and I didn't really want to go out and meet people because I was going through this massive spiritual awakening. I didn't really know how to handle it at the time. But honestly, I ended up in my apartment watching YouTube videos, like spirituality YouTube videos based on spirituality and spiritual concepts, pretty much for like several hours a day after work by myself. I just couldn't focus on much else. It was like I didn't understand what was happening with this whole twin flame situation. And so self-isolating, immersing myself in spiritual material seemed to be the only thing that I could handle at the time. So yes, that is totally 100% normal. And you're not going to feel lonely forever. You're not going to feel disconnected forever. You will meet with people. Hopefully I'm one of them on YouTube for you, but you will meet with people, you will encounter people who resonate with you and you resonate with them. And it's a newfound friendship or a newfound even relationship or a newfound kindred spirit that all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, now I understand why my old friends had to fall by the wayside. I now know why this specific relative and we don't really get along anymore. Or I understand why my relationship had to crumble, right? That happens a lot too when somebody is on the spiritual awakened path. And it's not to punish you, and it's not to say that you're a bad person. It's just a different way of living. It's a different perspective you're taking now. You know, one thing that most people don't quite understand when they're newly spiritually awakened or on the spiritual path is that not everybody is going to experience a spiritual awakening in this lifetime. And I would say, like, if statistically speaking, less than 10% of all the population, and it's probably closer to like 3%, are going to experience like a massive spiritual awakening and start to live from the perspective more of their higher spiritual self. It's very rare. It's less rare now than it was, let's say, 100 years ago, but it's pretty rare when you take the entire population of the world. We're just at different experiences on our soul journey. And so it is rare to have someone go through a spiritual awakening. And you might think it's a lot more because people are talking about it more. But for all intents and purposes, it's not a lot. It's not a high percentage. So a lot of people are not going to understand you or what you're going through. So if you're just joining me, welcome. Thank you for joining me on this Chat with the Author live Q&A. You can ask me any question about spiritual awakening, twin flames, the chakras, yoga philosophy, meditation, mind, body, spirit, health, anything pertaining to the topics that I talk about in my books or on my channel. And if you are here and you haven't yet put something in the chat, go ahead and put something in the chat. Say hello, where you're viewing this from. Even if you want to talk about the stress of the holidays, I'm here for you. I will listen. I will even banter with you because I know how it can be. So welcome again. And hey, hello, Colette from Chicago. How is it in Chicago? Is it snowy? Do you have a bunch of snow? My mom lives in Michigan, in like outside of Detroit. My sister used to live in Chicago, and my mom said that they got quite a lot of snow. I want to say like 8 inches of snow in Michigan. So I'm curious, was Chicago snowy? It usually is, right? Yeah, it's cold. It's pretty cold. Yeah. So Colette, if you have any questions for me, please put it in the chat and I will answer your question about anything related to all the things I talk about on my channel. And if you're new, welcome. And if you've been following me for quite some time, let me know that too. Yeah, I'm here in Southern California and I complain that it gets cold, but it really doesn't get cold here. I mean, when you compare it to Michigan or Chicago or any of the northern states, or even I used to live in DC and it got pretty darn cold there too. So yeah, it's not the same. I cannot complain. I go out to the ocean and I see palm trees every day. So living the dream, truly, truly living the dream. All right. So the next question, if y'all have questions, please put it in. So Colette says, so there were some eerie coincidences with your twin flame journey and mine. Just curious if you are in touch with your twin flame or if you have moved on. Thank you for that question. So first of all, Colette, as I answer, I'm really curious. Can you name one of the coincidences that are true? And did you read my books? Is that how you got that, or just from viewing videos on my channel? Okay, so my answer to that is I am not in touch with my twin flame for the past several months, I guess. Several months. I think the last time we texted was probably around Mother's Day. And it had been kind of, how should I say, touch and go, in the sense that a couple of years ago, I had mentioned that if he wasn't really willing to meet up in person or have a real, because he was like, you know, the whole twin flame friend zoning thing. So I was like, well, if you're going to be a real friend, be a real friend, but don't just say you're going to be a friend and not be a friend. Basically, that was it. And he was not, I don't know. It was very strange. He didn't say that he wouldn't, but he didn't say that he would. So I kind of got frustrated and just said, like, look, we don't really need to be in each other's lives anymore. But the fact is that, like, there have been touch points along the way since then, but nothing. And I'm fine with it. Like, I have been doing a lot of checking in with my angels. I guess after that point, I had been. And basically the feedback I got was that he just wasn't willing to do the work right now, which is fine. Like, I'm totally cool with that. I feel like I'm at a place that of complete self-love now. And if he reaches that point, awesome. That's great. But if not, I'm not bent out of shape about it, because it's his choice, right? And I think I spent the first like 4 years of the journey, or 3 years maybe of the journey, fixated on the fact that he needed to do his work and that he wasn't. And it was making me sad, right? That he wasn't doing his work, but it's fine. It's fine. That's his choice. That's why we have free will. What would life be if we didn't have free will, right? What would life be like? So welcome if you're just joining me. Hey, smash the like button. It just helps. You know what this all helps? Like engagement, which I love chatting with you guys. But like the like button and all that jazz, it just helps YouTube to like push it out to other people who might want to chat. Because it's really hard when you're getting started again with a live stream. A lot of people just don't, they don't engage because YouTube does not serve it to them. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't show up in your feed. So how would you know? So thanks for the like. So if you guys have questions, put them in the chat. Say hello. This is the last live stream I'm doing before January 6th. So I've got my Christmas shirt on, my Christmas Mickey shirt on. I also said at the beginning of the live stream that I've been munching on these. And I've got to be really careful because they're very addicting. And I love peppermint stuff. So Colette says, I watched the whole 44-part series. Which 44-part series is that? I don't know. I have, Colette, I'm going to tell you right now, girl. I have like 2,000 videos up on YouTube, and probably like over 1,000 of them are twin flame videos. So I'm thinking you're talking about my twin flame story week by week. Is that the one you're talking about? My twin flame story week by week? That's probably the one. Oh yeah, the twin flame vlogs. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, I know. It's like, people are like, I didn't know you had that many videos. I'm like, I've been making twin flame content for like, since 2019. So yeah, and they're like, why don't you do so many twin flame videos more? I'm like, because I have like over 1,000 twin flame videos already. So it's a lot. And I do write about other stuff. I don't only write about twin flames. All right, so welcome if you're joining. Say where you are joining from. And if you have questions for me, or if you want to like talk about the holidays and winter, and you want to talk about family stress, that's okay. We can talk about that stuff. But I really like the engagement. I do have another question here. I love this one. It's from my book, The Empowered Divine Feminine, and it's also like a self-love question. This one I struggled with for most of my life. I will tell you this right now. The question is, how do I stop basing my self-worth on whether someone loves me or chooses me? Okay. How do I stop basing my self-worth on whether or not someone loves or chooses me? And let's be honest here. We're talking about a romantic partner, right? Like, we are absolutely talking about a romantic partner. When, I would say I did this for me personally. I'll give you my personal opinion. I did this most of my life. And it's not that I had really low self-worth. I think self-esteem I definitely struggled with. But self-worth, it was hard because I always measured my self-worth or my worthiness to be loved based on whether or not a romantic partner chose me or put in the effort to be in a relationship with me. And so I think reversing that trend is really tough if you've had a habit of doing that. And that comes a lot from being codependent and a people pleaser. It does, right? Because if you're like, okay, even if this person chooses me, and I spoke about this like a few weeks back in, I'm not really sure which the topic name was, because now we're doing themes each week. But I spoke a lot about this, about, I'm trying to think of it. I can't think of it now. But I did speak a lot about it in the sense of basing your self-worth on, even if somebody chooses you, it's like doing everything you can to keep them there. You know what I mean? Like, that's the people-pleasing aspect. Is doing all that you can to make sure they don't run away or that they stay, or you don't want to make waves, or you don't want to create drama. Like, that's a big one in dating, isn't it? Isn't that a huge one in dating? Is like somebody shows up and then a guy will usually say like, oh, my last girlfriend created so much drama. So then what does that train your nervous system to do if you are a woman, right? Because this is an empowered divine feminine question. It trains your nervous system to people please, right? Oh, I don't want to be the girl that creates the drama. So then I'm just going to play nice in the field, even though you might not be getting what you adequately need in a relationship. So to answer that question, how do I stop basing my self-worth on whether or not a romantic partner chooses me or loves me or wants to love me? And that really goes back to self-love, right? It really goes back to loving yourself, being your best friend, and loving yourself more than anybody could possibly love you, right? And where does that come from? That's the big question, right? Where does that kind of self-love come from? And it really comes from drawing into yourself and connecting to your higher spiritual self and knowing that you come from source, God, spirit, and understanding that you come from the source of unconditional love. And that is what you are connected to. And really the whole self-love journey is that connection to your higher self. So, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, and Colette answered, so many people I know are in bad relationships just because they want to be chosen. Yeah, it's true, right? It's true. There's that sense of, I want to feel chosen. Even in one of the vlogs, one of my Michelle Fondin author vlogs, I even commented, oh, this is so sad. I don't know if okay, I'm mixing things up because I'm writing my new book. So I don't know if this was in a vlog, a recent vlog, or if it's something I'm writing in my upcoming book. But I was talking about how my self-esteem was very low from my childhood, that when I was dating my ex-husband, I really thought there's no man that would ever want to marry me. I was 19, 20. We were 20 when we met. But I was like, there's no man that would ever want to marry me. I'm not someone that anybody would want to marry. And so I ended up getting pregnant in college, but I was like, was that a subconscious call to like get someone to choose me? You know what I mean? So that was the question that I had asked. Okay, Mr. Medic, hello. Hello, blessed counselor. Why is it that you can have a divine feminine in a male body and divine masculine in a female body? Your thoughts would be great. All right. That's a great question, by the way. And that's a question I get quite often, especially I coach a lot of men. A lot of people don't know this, but I do coach a lot of men who are divine feminines in their twin flame connection. So to be honest with you, it's all about energy, right? It's all about energy. It has nothing to do with gender. It's all about energy. So we possess both, right? We possess both feminine and masculine energies, right? And depending on what we choose to embody or what we choose to play out, it's usually like what we're choosing to play out in this lifetime. We have an agreement to play out a certain energy in this lifetime. And so, especially with your twin flame, you guys have had past lives, right? You've had past lives together. And in this lifetime and prior to this lifetime, there may have been some agreement of, okay, I'm going to embody more of the feminine. You're going to embody more of the masculine so that we can help each other to heal, right? I would say, the interesting piece, and this is solely my opinion, right? This is solely my opinion. Do not take this as gospel truth. But when I was writing the empowered divine feminine, there's a lot energetically about the patriarchy crumbling to the ground, right? The patriarchy is indeed, it is indeed crumbling. But in order for that to happen, it has to get stronger first before it crumbles, right? The rise before the fall. So as you see, there is a lot of, with the patriarchy, there's a lot of grasp for power. There's more exacerbated or exaggerated wounding that comes up. So you'll see like a rise in horrific behavior coming from the patriarchy, and that's because the rise before the fall. I believe that there are many men in masculine bodies, right, in male bodies that have chosen to be in the male gender that have elected in this lifetime to embody the divine feminine energy, to understand it. Does that make sense? To understand it from a visceral, you have to embody it to embrace it and to understand it. You cannot possibly understand it unless if you're embodying it. So I believe that many men have elected to do this, especially on a soul journey, on a twin flame journey, where you're seeing the polar opposite of that, to be able to embody the energy, to fully understand it from a visceral level in order to help heal it so that the patriarchy can finally release. And I would say, even if you're a man, the Empowered Divine Feminine is a great read for a man, because in it, I also explain the lower masculine and the higher masculine. I explain the dynamics and why the patriarchy has existed for so long. The patriarchy never existed in a vacuum, in an isolation. It had to exist with its polar opposite, which was the feminine, which then became the lower feminine. So it's a fascinating discussion to have. But really, I believe that's one of the reasons why you see so many men embodying the divine feminine, in order to help them to heal and understand it. And we all need to, walk. What is that expression? We all need to walk a mile in someone else's shoes or someone else's moccasins in order to fully understand them. And that dynamic, there's a lot to be healed in humanity in general. And it's never going to be perfect. Never, 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 never. Because what we think is perfect today is not going to be perfect in 100 years. It's just all perspective, right? But yeah, so that I hope that answered your question. I don't know if I really answered or just made it worse. So I want to welcome you here if you're just joining me. Hey, engage. Say something in the chat. Put something in the chat box. And we'll be here for another 15 minutes. I didn't expect it to go on for an hour, but hooray, we are here together. We are all gathered around the fireplace, so to speak, enjoying our time together. And I appreciate you guys for being here. So another question I have, and if no one else has questions, is man, I've got so many good ones. Can meditation really heal the nervous system long-term, or do you have to do more? Meditation and healing. You know, I've been a meditator since 2007. So that is, I don't know, you guys do the math. 18 years I've been a meditator? Almost 19. And I used to be a very nervous person and a very anxious person. And I don't think it was clinical. I just think that part of my personality is very high energy. And if you've studied the Ayurvedic system at all, I'm primarily a Vata type, which is comprised of space and air, which means that there's a lot of movement and nervousness with that. And I am very calm in general. And I would say that is definitely through the practice of meditation. I do have my moments, right? Everybody has their moments. We're human beings. You know, we're human beings having a spiritual experience and spiritual beings having a human experience. As I explained in the main video this week, yesterday when I posted it, right? I said, we're fully human and fully spirit, right? So yes, meditation does heal you on so many, it is insane how much meditation actually heals you, that they are just discovering, like science is just discovering now, which yogis have known for centuries, several thousands of years. But, you know, long-term meditators, if you've been meditating 3 years or more, long-term, like 3 years or more, regularly meditating, your biological age is 10 years younger, just by virtue of meditating consistently for 3 years. So look, I've been meditating, how long did I say? 18 years? I don't know. I'm like 12 now. My biological age is like 12. No, meditation does heal you. So if that has been a question for you, if you're worried about like, is there something that I need to do extra if I'm suffering from a lot of anxiety, or if I suffer from even neurological disorders? The brain literally regrows itself via meditation. So the gray matter in your brain, actually, it gets new tissue when you meditate. Your telomeres, which if you know what telomeres are, they are the strands at the end of your DNA that get shorter and shorter and shorter as you age. And long-term meditators have telomeres that, instead of getting shorter and shorter and shorter, get longer, longer, and longer. So you look younger, your body is younger. Everything happens that's good when you meditate. So that's why I teach and preach it, guys. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, let me know. I have reached the end of my questions that I highlighted. But if you are here and you would like to participate, ask me a question, say a comment, ask me about one of my books or videos, I would be more than happy to answer. The Great Outdoors Fairy says, is meditating mostly about sitting still and clearing the mind? Yes, as a practice, yes. So what I teach is I teach a mantra-based meditation technique. The teaching that I teach and that I was taught is based in an ancient Indian, so from India, Vedic tradition from thousands of years ago. So you get an ancient Vedic mantra based on your astrology chart, your Indian astrology chart. And what I have personally found, and the way I teach it, is that meditation with a mantra is a lot more helpful than just sitting and trying to clear your mind, because most people don't have a great amount of success with that. But in truth, meditation is about connecting to the universe. So what I like to say is, like, it's like taking a big old plug, you know, like you would use to plug in your toaster or microwave or whatever. And you are plugging yourself into universal consciousness. You're plugging yourself into the universe. So it's not like I'm sitting and meditating, clearing my mind, doing nothing. It's like, no, I'm actually going into the flow of the cosmos. I'm going into the flow of the universe. And that's why meditators can do so many things like levitation. Meditators get psychic powers. Like, there are so many things that I actually write about in my book, The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times, that regular meditators that really go deep into meditation, since you're plugging into the cosmos, you get all of the gifts of the cosmos. That's actually what happens. And that's why it's probably the oldest spiritual tradition that exists, right? All right, guys. Anybody else? Would anyone else like to say hello in the chat or ask me a question? I'll give you guys like a couple of seconds. And then if not, we'll just close out for this little time at the end of this year of 2025 and moving into 2026. And I anticipate that 2026 is going to be so incredibly exciting for you and me. I'm really super excited about what's to come on this channel with my upcoming books. And I say books plural, because I'll have the book and the workbook and a mini course. And I anticipate hopefully doing some live in-person stuff as well. I haven't fleshed that out quite yet, but I really miss that. For some of you maybe know that I owned a yoga studio for 10 years in Virginia, where I was teaching yoga, meditation, and Ayurvedic lifestyle. And I used to have like seminars and in-person meditation courses, and it was just a load of fun to see people in real time versus in virtual time. And real time is a lot more fun. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys for a minute here as we close out. I know the holidays can be extremely stressful. I know that there are a lot of demands put upon you by other people, maybe your kids, your parents, the PTA, maybe your spouse, maybe your coworkers, the parties, your neighbors. There's just a lot of stress put upon us during this time. And I want to let you know that it is okay to set boundaries. It is okay to say no. It is okay to disappoint other people, because it really doesn't matter anyway, right? It's like, as long as you are okay with yourself, go ahead and say no and disappoint others, because you matter more than they do. Your sanity, your happiness, your sense of self-love matters more, because if you're depleted, you will have nothing to give them ever. So you matter. You are loved. You are worthy of love. You deserve a wonderful, beautiful life, and you belong. I want to thank you so much for being with me throughout 2025. And I can't wait to see you guys live in 2026. Thank you for joining me here today. The next time I will be live, it'll be Tuesday, January 6th of 2026, 1/6/2026 at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much for giving the video a thumbs up, subscribing, engaging, putting something in the comments below. And I will see you guys next year.